strategic HR is about HR getting the opportunity to contribute to the strategy for the company. Being able to be at the strategy table, being part of the decisions that are made for the company in terms of where the company is heading, in terms of its strategic thinking, in terms of its strategic planning, and therefore the HR business partnering model then becomes very key in ensuring that HR is represented at the units, at the departments, and even all the way down within the divisions.
I look at strategic management in three angles. There are three very key pillars for any business. There's the stakeholders, the employees, and the customers. So these three pillars are the ones that hold the business family. Now they need to see how they work together. And the interest is what kind of return do we get? And it must be measured. So personnel management and human resource management has never been very key on measuring the outcome and the results. But when you go to strategic management, you find that a lot of functional duties, administrative duties are removed out of it. And you focus more to see how can the business get return on the people it has. How can the people support the business?
For that specific concern, allow me to say that depending on the business, the industry, and the environment which you are operating, there's a little bit of difference. There are organizations that have embraced the HR function and HR has been given its space. However, we also have organizations that are treating HR as more of operational function. That is where the strategy bit has not been embraced, and in terms of the HR function, they are looking at it at an operational level. So I'd not completely agree that everyone has not recognized the HR function, but it depends with the level of organization and how much they have been able to embrace the HR function in the organization. Some of the challenges that we are experiencing as HR people initially was the lack of regulation. So without regulating a profession, most of the time it might not get the seriousness that it deserves. But with regulation, then I think that would be an issue of the past. Then the other aspect also is that having qualified, competent, seasoned people has also been a challenge. And as a HR practitioner, it's more about what you give the business. So if you place yourself strategically and contribute positively to the bottom line, including understanding the business needs and supporting the employees to achieve that, I believe you should be able to, get the seat in the board if there is value addition.
The HR person, the person in that responsibility, how are you being accepted into the business? But being accepted in that business is how you articulate the business. So some of, I think I've talked to a couple of colleagues and you can say some are saying that I sit on the table. And you say that they are not even close to the door. And from my experience, actually I go for this meeting and people are saying that you don't sit to the table. I've been sitting in the table for the last 18 years. So I think sometimes it's based on individuals and how they relate with the business. So I think when people have that basic understanding of the HR, then there are people that can be able to mentor them throughout the process. But to a great extent, it's self-driven. HR is self-driven. You have to build some competencies. Because surely, if you are dealing with people, you have to develop some competencies that you can be able to communicate across the business. Of course, you have to be a strategic thinker.
With due respect, most organizations in Kenya are still in the old HR target model of the HR generalists. So you end up doing a little bit of strategy, a little bit of operations, a little bit of specialized roles. So sometimes, being more strategic 100% becomes a challenge. So if there would be the distribution between the HR pillars, I believe that HR would move to the next level so that each HR practitioner is given an opportunity to specialize in the area which they are best suited.
I think one of the ways is one of the challenges that HR managers face is one, just their own knowledge about the business. because you cannot contribute strategically if you then don't understand the business within which you're operating. And then number two is the thinking of people external from HR who still see us, so see HR in terms of personnel management, and therefore they don't appreciate that then as HR professionals we are able to contribute to the strategic management of the company. The third is we are bogged down a lot with operational work. Employees, for instance, would rather come and talk to a HR manager than talk to a HR officer, because then they see their issues being given more prominence if they then spoke to the more senior person. So you're bogged down with a lot of the operationals that even thinking strategically becomes a challenge.
I would say that there are two people who can destroy a company. The CEO and the HR. If they are playing in a different field, assuming possibly the CEO knows where to take the company on a strategic level. Who controls, possibly to a great extent, the HR manages that capital. Because even if you put money cannot do anything without people. You put equipment will not be able to do anything without people. So the HR has to come and integrate this. But if there is a divergence between the HR and the CEO, means then those two, something will go wrong and go wrong terribly wrong. CEO is the key driver, but if the CEO does not support the HR, I can possibly somebody need to do a research in this market and globally, but possibly there are research that already be done. If those two are in conflict, if the CEO does not support the HR, I can say there must be a correlation of high performance, competitiveness, and poor HR management.
The role of a CEO for HR is extremely critical. One is because they set the tone for even the culture of the business and the culture of the company. Number two is in terms of decision making. In terms of the many decisions you make about employees, a CEO is critical because they end up at his desk. I would implement, I would make the decision, but ultimately it ends at the desk of the CEO. So I think it's extremely critical that a CEO and a HR manager have a good relationship. Yeah, because then they are working towards the same thing. Management and leadership is a lot about people. So even as the CEO is doing his day-to-day work, a lot of what he does revolves around people and around decisions on the people.
Since the CEO is our closest ally, one, they need first of all to set the direction where the business is going and communicate it clear to HR, so that HR can also come up with the various people initiatives that can support the business to get where the business needs to go. In terms of the organizational culture, he's the one who's supposed to also let us know that in terms of the culture, this is the desired behavior or the values that we need to have in the organization. And in whatever initiatives HR has, the CEO needs to support us so that we can also get support from other departmental heads and the employees in implementing whatever needs to be done.
One very key important thing for HR professionals is one, they must understand the business within which they are operating. Number two, they must understand the law, because that's then their Bible. You must understand the Employment Act, you must understand the related acts that come after that, you must understand just the law of the land, because it has a lot to do with people management. They also have to improve a lot on their interpersonal relations. People look at HR managers and they make conclusions based on how they look and how they deal with people, outrightly. So that's very important for them. They need to improve on their communication skills. The letters we write, every single word you put in this letter communicates something to the employees. And then number 5, which I think is also very important, is creating time. Employees value the time they spend with their HR manager. Sometimes you have a lot to do, but what I have done as a practice is to ensure that I've created time, that I'm able to see them. I may not see everybody, but at least I've created time and I'm able to see those with very critical concerns that they would want to speak to me about.
So for HR people, they really need to add value and they have the opportunity. I think for them is to understand what can they bring on the table, which is a financial driven ability and objective. And then they need to help the business to grow in its revenue. If it's through people, what are the strategic goals that they can set? And I think once they start thinking numbers, once they start thinking future for the business, once they start thinking for the business with the people, then I think they will be able to keep up with the current. For them, they need to go a notch higher, understand what the business wants, contribute to the business, and are challenging to have their own P&L, because then it also helps you to have a greater impact to the business.
No, building a career is not a one-time affair, and it has its own challenges. Most importantly is patience, and with the time, everyone, with the effort you put in, you'll have time to also grow within the career. And of course, let us not, start the career today and you hope to be the HR manager tomorrow. Appreciate that it is worth taking a step at a time, and as you grow within the career, you also build your capacity, and experience is also key in the HR role.
There's a lot of development, but we are still chasing the tail in the HR. We are still on operational issues. On operational issues, you want to see that whether the payroll was done, whether the leave was processed, who talked to who's in a certain level. And again, these things are supposed to be done also, but within an organization, possibly they should be at the lower level. Now, as the HR professionals start going up the rate, and then they start dropping off operational issues and taking up more on strategic issues. We're looking at understanding the business, what the business entails, business acumenship. You need to understand the in and out of the business. Who are your competitors? Who is your market? What product you are providing? What challenges those products are? Who is coming into the market? Who is exiting the market? What is the return on investment that you get? You also need to think. I also advise them that they should think like a business person, not think an administrator. Is think as a business person. If they think as a business person, then they'll be respected by the business community. Think outside the box. Sometimes in HR we are just within that box. Some of us have even created it's no longer a wooden box, it's a metal box. And lock themselves in just within the department there. Go out, talk to your colleagues in other field, talk to the business leaders, go to the market and find out what issues they have, what solutions that you can provide, and not complex solutions. Look for simple but doable solutions.